Hello everyone. Thank you all for watching the video and leaving meaningful comments. Wishing everyone good health and happiness. Early in the morning, the faint sunlight of a new day seeped through the cracks beneath the bridge where I had curled up all night. The chill of the night dew penetrated through the thin layers of clothing, making me shiver as I tried to curl up tighter to find some warmth. The surroundings were silent, with only the steady sound of water flowing from the nearby river blending with the wind whistling through the gaps. I opened my eyes, looked up at the gray sky, and sighed. Another day had begun, but I knew I couldn't continue living in this makeshift situation forever. I sat up and brushed off the dirt clinging to my clothes. The emptiness and unease in my heart pushed me to decide that I had to find a new place to stay. I stood up, my weary legs still moving forward with hope that I could find a better shelter. Elsewhere, Chung sat quietly on the porch of his small house, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. He had been sitting there all night, waiting for me to return. The worry was evident on his face as my familiar silhouette failed to appear. He thought perhaps I had gone back to our old home, the place we had been evicted from not long ago. Unable to sit still any longer, Chung decided to go there and look for me. The road leading to our old home was covered with dry leaves and dust, each step he took weighed down by anxious thoughts. When he arrived, the desolate scene only deepened his disappointment. He called out my name a few times, but only echoes answered him from the empty walls. Chung slumped down on the ground, his hands covering his weary face. His heart was filled with a sense of helplessness and sorrow. He blamed himself for not being able to protect me better, leaving him unsure of where I was or whether I was safe. Meanwhile, my steps continued down an uncertain path. Memories of Chung occasionally surfaced in my mind, making my heart sink. I knew he would worry about me greatly, but I couldn't return until I found a more stable place for both of us. The sun rose higher, dispelling the morning chill but unable to ease the loneliness in my heart or Chung's longing for me. Two people in two different places carried their own burdens yet shared a fragile hope that they would soon reunite. That morning, I left the bridge that had sheltered me through a cold night. The early sunlight pierced through the trees along the road, illuminating the path leading into the forest. I walked, each step heavy but filled with hope, searching for a new place to stay. The surroundings gradually changed, from dusty roads to lush green thickets. The deeper I ventured into the forest, the more I felt its tranquility and isolation from the outside world. After hours of wandering, I unexpectedly discovered a large cave hidden behind dense foliage. This cave was perfect, discreet enough to shield me from rain and wind, yet spacious enough to become my new home. I stood silently for a long time at the entrance, gazing at the surroundings and feeling the peace of nature. The chirping of birds above seemed to welcome me to this new home. A sense of relief and safety washed over me, a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. But to survive here, I needed food and money. I decided to search for wild vegetables, the fresh greens that villagers often bought for their meals. Following small trails in the forest, I carefully picked tender bunches of young greens and tied them neatly together. The glossy green leaves glistening in the morning sunlight made me feel as though I was harvesting hope for tomorrow. Once I had gathered enough vegetables, I carried them down to the village to sell. The path to the village was far from easy, slippery slopes and thorny bushes made my journey even more exhausting. Yet my heart was filled with determination and faith that this would be the start of something new. When I arrived at the market, I stood shyly in a corner of the small marketplace, offering my vegetables at a fair price. At first, the curious gazes of people made me feel uneasy, but soon they began buying my produce. The bundles of vegetables quickly sold out. With the money earned from selling vegetables, I bought a sharp knife, a necessary tool for survival in the forest, and some fruits to eat for the day. Holding these newly purchased items in my hands, my heart swelled with joy and hope. I knew that I was slowly building a new life from nothing. Returning to the cave with my knife and bag of fruits, I sat down to rest after a long day of moving and working. Looking around this new space, I began planning how to transform it into a real home. I thought about going deeper into the forest to cut leaves and spread them on the cave floor for a more comfortable resting area. But first, I needed time to familiarize myself with my surroundings and learn how to adapt to this wild life. Meanwhile, thoughts of Chung still lingered in my mind. I knew he would worry greatly about me not returning. But I couldn't go back until I found a stable place for both of us. I reminded myself that I had to be stronger to overcome these challenges ahead. Under the gentle afternoon sunlight, after a moment of rest, I decided to continue my work. This time, I ventured into the forest to find large leaves to spread across the cave floor, creating a more comfortable place to sleep. I carefully selected fresh, thick green leaves, inspecting each one to ensure they were neither infested nor decayed before gathering and bundling them together for easier transport. Though this process took time, it gave me peace of mind about my sleeping arrangements for the days ahead. When I returned to the cave, I meticulously laid the leaves into a soft bedding. Though it couldn't compare to the comfort of a cozy bed at home, it was enough to make me feel more at ease while resting. I lay down to test it, inhaling the natural scent of the leaves as a gentle breeze drifted in from outside the cave. A sense of peace seeped into my soul, helping me forget some of the exhaustion from the long day. Life in the wilderness was tough, but I knew that little by little, I was adapting and finding stability. Elsewhere, Chung was still tirelessly searching for me. He went from house to house in the village, asking everyone he knew if they had seen me, but no one had any idea where I had gone. Worry was etched on his face as every faint glimmer of hope gradually faded away. He sifted through memories of our past, trying to guess where I might be. Yet no matter how much he thought about it, he couldn't understand why I had disappeared. Finally, as the sun began to set behind the trees, he quietly returned to his small home and sat on the porch with a distant gaze full of longing. I knew that my disappearance had caused him worry and heartache. But I also believed that this was necessary for me to build a better life for both of us. I didn't want to remain bound by old limitations. I wanted to explore the world and find a new path for myself. Still, my longing for him lingered in my heart like a small flame that never went out. I silently hoped that one day, when I became strong and successful enough, I would return and meet him again under better circumstances. As night gradually fell, cloaking the forest in a veil of mystery, the flickering fire outside the cave began to weaken with each gust of cold wind. I picked up a few more pieces of wood and carefully added them to the fire to keep it burning throughout the night. The flames not only warded off the chill but also gave me a sense of safety in this desolate place. The orange-red light danced on the cave walls, reflecting my quiet silhouette lost in thought. As embers floated upward into the night sky, I looked up at the vast expanse above me. The twinkling stars felt like silent companions witnessing my journey. In the stillness of the wilderness, only the chirping of insects, rustling leaves in the wind, and flickering firelight remained as my companions. Pulling my makeshift leaf cloak closer around me for warmth, I slowly closed my eyes. Before drifting off to sleep, I silently wished for better things to come tomorrow. I knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges, but I also knew that with each passing day, I was moving closer to a life of freedom and renewal. Though my longing for Chung remained strong, I believed that this distance would help us both grow stronger. One day, I would return, stronger, steadier, and ready to face everything together. But until then, I had to keep moving forward.